welcome to the Wordle Media presentation of Major League A-Holes. I'm Pete, because I forgot who I was.
You are Pete, I am Ryan, and you are in the hole with Major League A-Holes. We have no idea what we're doing. We're having a calamity. A whole bunch of shit's happening at the same time, so we'll see how we get through. All I know is Riley Greene was named AL Player of the Week. The Tigers are the best team in the American League. Your Giants are in Chicago. Just got drubbed by the Cubs last night, but that was a weird game. We'll talk about that. I don't think that's going to be typical for this series, but Shota Imanaga is hurt. The second top two aces of the Cubs are now gone. I don't know about how long for Imanaga, but we'll talk about options there. I've got an asshole of the week. I'm naming an entire National League organization our asshole of the week. And after that, you had an incredible experience at the White Sox gala, and I've got to hear. I've seen pictures. You mentioned you were going. I didn't quite understand how you were invited to this thing. I wanna hear all the stories
because I am who I fucking am.
We'll get to it, but your pictures were incredible. There's a lot of questions I have. You met a lot of people that people have heard of, so I'm amazed. So you're brushed with celebrity. Hopefully you promoted the podcast like crazy, so they'll be listening to this episode 165, I believe it is.
Sure, that's what we'll call it.
All right,
for now, anyway.
So we've got, if we have time. This is funny because I created aesthetics because I'm a graphic designer obsessed with that shit, logos and uniforms, and I couldn't be less interested in this segment this week with a couple of new Nike City Connects that I think we'll half-heartedly go over from both the Marlins and the Diamondbacks. So we'll see. Maybe we'll just cut it out if I doze off or get too annoyed. But I guess with that, we might as well go ahead and jump into the news. Well, the news is this morning, Riley Greene, Tigers outfielder, was named AL Player of the Week. And I guess that if you get named AL, can we just make a rule? If you get named League Player of the Week, you also win Badass of the Week.
I guess
it's pretty obvious, especially when you see that he hit 464 this week, 13 hits, 4 home runs, 8 RBI, 1393 OPS for the 2 of those home runs. Not only did they come in the same game on Friday, they came in the same inning. The 9th inning on Friday against the LA Angels, and it couldn't have been more hilarious. That is actually a new record. There have been 62 players that have hit 2 home runs in the same inning, but no one has ever done it in the 9th inning.
Makes sense.
Riley is the first. The game was tied 1-1 going into the 9th, and the Tigers ended up winning 9-1. And it's funny. I mentioned last week, or I was visiting some buddies down in Austin, Texas, and we found a sports bar that had shit tons of TVs, and they actually had the Tigers game on 2 different small TVs. So we're kind of seeing what was going on, but there's no audio or anything. And my buddy's like, "Didn't we just see Riley hit a home run like a little bit ago?" Like, he just hit 2 home runs in the 9th inning. Like, what the fuck? So it was amusing. I think the Angels are an embarrassing organization. How they've wasted so much generational talent with Mike Trout, maybe not through fault of their own, but he gets hurt all the time. But they had Shohei Ohtani on their fucking roster. They can't make the playoffs. So to see a record like that get set against them makes me laugh and makes me happy. So fuck the Angels. It's so cool that Riley is he was kind of struggling going into that series, actually going into last week. So he is clearly righted the ship as he is now AL Player. So, and of course our badass. Tigers are also the best team in the American League. You may have noticed that
I have.
Second week running, they've continued their hot ways. In fact, if you look at their last 81 games, half a season essentially.
Okay.
Combines the start of this season and that amazing 31-13 stretch last year. Plus
yes.
They are now 53-28 over that span, which makes, extrapolate times 2. They're 106 win pace right now over the last 81 games. So they are getting some shit done.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's kind of good. They're actually slowed
just
their
wanted
pace.
clarification, man.
Yeah. Their pace is actually they went 31-13 in that stretch to end last season. They're only 22-13 right now, so they've slowed down a bit. Kind of ridiculous what they're doing.
I also find it so fucking humorous still. I know the season's not over, but said the arrow's pointing up for the Tigers. That again, like they were kind of not even thought of as a legitimate contender in the AL Central. But they're not just a contender in the AL Central.
Yeah.
They're the number one they're the number one team in all the AL. So
yeah.
I mean, Jesus. Come on, folks, wake up.
Well, they're doing it because they lead the league or amongst the league leaders in pretty much every team statistical category. They're third. They rank third. I had this all written down. Sorry, this is part of the discombobulation. Discombobulation.
Whatever you're trying to say. Are you drunk?
No, I'm not drunk. That's the irony. We're doing this on a Tuesday afternoon. I've had a bunch of water and a Coke Zero here. I've had a lot of shit going down though. But
is it a Jack and Coke Zero?
Yeah, I wish.
They make that.
I find it. Thanks for stalling for me there.
Yeah, no problem. I can do this show on my own if I had to.
Right now they rank third in the American League in not only runs, hits, and home runs, they're also second in OPS. On the pitching side, of course, they are first in the American League with a 2.96 ERA, team ERA.
Nice.
And they're second in WHIP. So when you're amongst the leaders in all those categories on both sides of the ball, you are going to be amongst the best teams in the American League. I think they have like the third best record, maybe fourth best record overall. But it's a fun time right now. They were off last night. They are in Colorado starting tonight, which is should be fun. Unfortunately, it looks like it's raining shitloads there, so I don't even know if they're going to play tonight. So it kind of sucks. They're going to lose two days. Kind of lose momentum. They're going to have to play a doubleheader at some point, which I feel like always gives an advantage to a shittier team, just because you have to play that so differently. At least, well, depending on how the bullpen goes in the first game. But so I would love for them to be able to play tonight. But I don't think it's going to happen.
Sounds to me like a trap series, Smitty.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah,
it's a trap.
All this could go for naught, but so far so fucking good. It's been a blast. So. I mentioned last week I went to the game on
Saturday
ago?
Right? Yeah.
I forgot to mention I got a bobblehead. Did I tell you about the Kerry Carpenter bobblehead?
You did not.
He's got the fingers pointing up, looking at the sky, thanking God.
Nice.
Pretty sweet. So I forgot to bring that out, but I'm starting to build up my bobblehead collection. It will never rival yours.
Yeah, I got them. You can kind of see them all the way I've repositioned things. I got everything in view. I got this setup running sweet these days.
Yeah, I'm jealous. You've got a lot more shit going on in your background than I do, but what can you do?
Yeah, what can you do?
Well, anyway, this is a podcast. Well, I guess it's a video podcast too, but a podcast. People don't know what the fuck we're talking about as we talk about our backgrounds here. So check us out on the YouTube channel.
Visit us on YouTube. See these handsome devils we are.
Amongst the other really good teams in Major League Baseball include my Cubs and your Giants. And I think we should talk about those.
Yeah. I used the word regression last week. And for those of you who follow us on social media, you'll see
I made a graphic for it.
Very cool graphic Smitty made about Giants regression. And I had a concern, and it kind of came to fruition. They went into San Diego and had a 2-game series and lost both of those. In fact, it wasn't really much of a struggle for the Padres. They just kind of steamrolled them. So then I was like, oh, great news. We're going to Colorado. But there was a 4-game series. They managed to lose a 3rd game in a row in the first game of that Rockies series. And I said, oh, shit, the wheels are completely coming off. But then they quickly rebounded with 3 straight wins, swept them over the weekend, but did not sweep the series. But then something we talked about last week, concern, they're coming into Chicago. The Cubs have played really well against teams over 500 because that's all they've been fucking playing.
Yeah, they have no choice.
Teams over 500. And last night's game, I mean, crazy shit. I was at my son's baseball game, so I get an alert. Cubs are up 2-0. Like 10 minutes later, I get an alert. It's 2-2. Then I get another alert. The Cubs are up 4-2. And kind of after that, it was mostly alerts I received about the Cubs. But my concern here is I think the Giants are a good team, but I don't think they're a great team. And the reason they're not a great team is they haven't beat any great teams yet, or they haven't beat the upper echelon. Yeah, they do fine against mid to low teams. Not a problem. And that will probably be enough to get them to the playoffs, because there's more than enough mid to low level teams that they'll get to play along the way. And with the start that they got, as long as they can continue to beat up on those teams and, win like 25-30% of the games against better teams, is probably enough to actually get them to the playoffs. Is probably and a quick exit, but it's enough to get them there.
8 games above 500 already. That gives you a little bit of a cushion right there. It's what's you gotta, if you're gonna be that kind of team, you're gonna have to keep beating up on the lower end, and so far you are. But
yeah, but it is exactly what I thought. They've been anywhere from first to third this entire season. Now they're 2.5 back, with 2 games behind the Padres, who are a half game behind the Dodgers. So again, they're 8 games over 500. So I'm not, it's not like it's like, oh, the season sucks. But I think there's the reality of the season is I just don't think they are at that level, at least not right now, to compete with anyone who's world beaters out there. So, and the Cubs are hot. The Cubs have been playing well. And last night, I mean, it was an offensive showcase for the Chicago Cubs.
That's how they've been getting it done. Certainly isn't because of their pitching, which we'll get to in a bit, or because of their bullpen. But last night was a weird game. I'm assuming you caught most of it, if not all. We were not texting back and forth for whatever reason.
Well, I was at Charlie's baseball game.
Okay. Yeah. If I didn't get texts from you, taunting texts or anything, I figure I'll leave you alone. You got family shit happening. So, but the Giants had a lot of errors, which seems really uncharacteristic for what you guys have been. I mean, Matt Chapman was even making errors last night, which is certainly an anomaly. So I'm not sure if last night it was at 9-2. I think it was the final.
Yeah.
I'm not sure last night's game was real indicative of how, if there's a gulf between the two teams necessarily. I think it was just a bad night for the Giants, but fucking Cubs offense, they just bludgeon. If you make a mistake, they will bludgeon you. Even if you don't make a mistake, they might bludgeon you. That's the only way they're getting all this done. I mean, they are the same record as the Giants, 22-14. Certainly not because they have a good bullpen, and now their starting rotation is starting to fall apart, or has fallen apart, as we already experienced. Justin Steele out for the season with elbow surgery. Now Shota Imanaga goes out Sunday and has a hamstring issue that has now landed him on the IL. As of recording, I was a little bit busy this afternoon, so I didn't see if the news broke, like what the actual injury is, like the severity of the hamstring pull, what it is.
I didn't get any alerts about it, and I know I would have.
You got your fancy watch over there telling you everything that's going on. So
I got watch, phone. It'd be coming in on the iPad. I got it all covered.
Well, if you get an alert during the show, let us know. So, but I mean, a hamstring is never good for any athlete. They're just touchy. I mean, you can't, even if you feel fine, you can't just go 100% immediately. They just take forever. Kind of like an oblique injury, but any kind of soft tissue injury, I guess. But the weird thing with Imanaga is his previous start, he was cramping in his quad, in the other leg. I mean, at first, like on Sunday at least, when he came out of the game, it was like, oh shit, it's that same thing going on. But it was actually a different muscle group and a different leg. So I don't know what that is. I don't know if that means he pitched all last year on the American 5-day rotation, which is a step up from the 6-day or 6 days of rest or whatever they typically get in Japan. So it's hard to say that's the issue, because he should be used to that regimen now. It's just weird to have 2 separate leg issues in 2 weeks, and one now is landed him on the IL. So hopefully it's not too severe. Even so, even if it's a mild strain, I would think that's a month because he can't do anything. He can't be on a mound. I don't know. That's another issue with a leg injury. There's not a whole lot you can do. Can't do running or keep in shape that way. So I don't know. It's concerning nonetheless. So what the fuck do the Cubs do? They have lost the 40% of their rotation, the top 40% of their rotation already. I mean, you could include Javier Assad in that. That would be what we thought was going to be their rotation. That'd be 60% of their rotation is gone that we thought they were going to have on opening day. So they've got some work to do. Of course, we talked immediately when Justin Steele went down about how they needed a trade for somebody, but who the fuck is trading right now? That was in April. We are in early May the 6th. By the way, happy Kerry Wood 20 strikeout day
Yes,
anniversary. I think it's 27 years to the day.
I was gonna bring that up probably
Yeah.
at the end when we all forgot about it. And
Yeah. Hey, we're
shit.
not forgetting shit now. Weird. um, but I still, this is still way too early for any team. The Marlins, we're speculating Sandy Alcantara would be available at some point, but that's again,
And he's
don't want to
not
be
very
too.
good right now.
Yeah,
That's the other thing.
I haven't even looked at his stats, but
Oh God, he's been fucking terrible.
well, that might be
So
an advantage if they suppress his value a little bit because I think over the long term he'll be just fine. So, but I don't think there's any incentive for certainly with the stats down. I think the Marlins would rather be trading high than selling low. Although they are a stupid organization, so who knows? But um, it just trade is not realistic. What is realistic, seemingly, is to call up a prospect, and the Cubs happen to have one of the best pitching prospects in the game, Cade Horton, and we've talked about him from time to time, but he is the perfect call up candidate right now. But for some reason, I fear that the Cubs will not do it. I'll explain why, but right now, Cade Horton has, I think it's 6 starts. He's got a 1.24 ERA, 0.86 whip. He struck out 33 batters over 29 innings. Like, call the dude up. Like, every sign points to calling him up. They have a need. This wasn't certainly their plan. If no one got hurt, they wouldn't be calling him up immediately. But I feel like the risk-averse Jed Hoyer is going to drag his feet on this and not actually do it. They'll call up somebody else. I forget the list of candidates they might call up, but the precious Cade Horton, I don't think will, mainly because he missed most of last season. He went out last year in late May, I think. So he's basically been gone for a year. And the only pitching he's done has been this season. Those stats I just pointed out, 33 innings. So while they've been stellar, I could see the risk averse Jed Hoyer, not wanting to push it and jeopardize that that arm at this point. And I'm just it's a broken record. I'm just sick of the risk averse conservative attitudes of the Cubs, both in how they manipulate their roster and how they spend money. And this is, I fear, is just going to be another example where the Cubs are too scared to do something bold. And the fans want to see it. Everyone is talking about Cade Horton. This is not a unique podcast segment. I'm not the first to be calling for Cade Horton. I've heard it all over the place. It seems to make too much sense, and for those reasons, I think it won't happen. And I think Cubs fans are going to be disappointed. Fortunately, the offense is such a fucking juggernaut. It might not matter who's pitching. It's crazy. I just can't see those. It doesn't seem sustainable. Although, I mean, with guys with Kyle Tucker in that lineup, it just changes everything. So it lengthens out that lineup. You got Pico Armstrong just crushing the ball, and he didn't even get off to a great start. He's just figuring it out now. So Dansby Swanson starting to hit now. So maybe that's the idea. Just let the offense carry them into midsummer and then make a deal at some point. But someone's gonna have to throw the ball. We saw with the Tigers at the end of last year, they used pitching chaos was the term they coined. Was basically bullpen days every game. They only had Turk Skubal and maybe Keider Montero. So they basically had 1.5 starters, and the rest of the games were basically the bullpen. Well, that miraculously worked for the Tigers. I don't think that was a strategy that you could use. It was amazing. It lasted for 2 months, but into the playoffs even. You can't start that shit in May, and you certainly can't start that shit with the kind of bullpen the Cubs have right now. So I maybe they're forcing themselves into pitching chaos, but that's not going to be a great outcome that I can see. So I guess we will see. There's going to be more news on that. Lots more news. Certainly that we haven't heard the severity of the Shota Imanaga injury. That might dictate things as well. If that's more than a month, if that's like a 3-month injury, they find out that could change things, can change the decision making process. I don't know. I guess we will see. There's more to come on that, and we will be certainly talking about that next week.
Or maybe later today. Who knows?
Maybe later this episode if you get an alert on your phone. But
breaking news comes through. I don't know. But
well, the Cubs were in Pittsburgh last week, and that just reminds me of what a despicable organization and pathetic organization the Pittsburgh Pirates are. Lots of things happened in the last few weeks there that I wanted to talk about that lead me to make them our asshole of the week.
Whoa, the Pirates? Who cares? What?
Yeah, who cares about the Pirates? I agree, but there's too many things that happened in the last couple of weeks that I just couldn't ignore. I was going to nominate him about 3 weeks ago, and I'll bring it up in this case, but that I'll bring up what happened more recently and more disturbingly as a fan fell out of the stands over the Clemente 21-foot wall. I believe it was Wednesday night. Actually, it was during the key, like a pivotal play in the game, which I think actually kind of led to the issue. Dansby Swanson booted a ball, ground ball to second base, and that either gave the go-ahead run or tying run. And at the moment, right after the play happened, you're just kind of, what the fuck? Like, how did this happen? How the Cubs kind of giving this up against the Pirates? But I was watching on TV, and it's not Boog Shambi, and I think he's been ill for a couple weeks, which is kind of scary. But it was Jim Deshaies at least, but I don't even know who's doing the play-by-play. But they started talking like there was something happening in the outfield, and they're like, "Oh, we're not going to show this." And typically, the first thing I thought of is it's a streaker on the field or something, because they just don't show that stuff not to encourage it. And so I went on social media and saw, of course, looked like a half naked dude like on the warning track. So I thought, oh, of course, it's a streaker, tried to jump on the field and hurt himself. Unfortunately, as social media does, video leaked of the incident, and then you found out what really happened, and it was fucking awful. And I would suggest not looking at the videos. It's awful what happened. It looks like the guy got so excited about that key play that he was sitting in the front row of the Clemente seats, 21 feet in the air. He jumped up, lost his balance, and went right over the fucking railing and landed on his goddamn head. I'm also bringing this up this week because there's news as of yesterday that he's awake and alert and communicating with people, but I thought he was dead immediately when I saw the pictures and certainly the video. To fall 2 stories right onto your head. I don't know how you survive, but it sounds like he does have a broken neck, broken back, and a broken clavicle, I think, but it sounds like he has no paralysis or anything. He's gonna recover, but the photos were just disturbing enough. The video is awful, but he had blood all over his face. But he was just laying there motionless, shirtless. Come to find out, and these reports, they're from not necessarily reliable sources, but it was people in the stands around him, said the guy was trashed. He was just drinking beers. He was pouring beers over his head. That's why he removed his shirt eventually. This is a Wednesday night. They've also revealed this man was 20 years old, which is below the drinking age, unless it's different somehow in Pennsylvania. He's a minor, and he was overserved by the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Not by the Pittsburgh Pirates, though.
It's not.
No, the news report came out. The people he was with, there's no receipts in the kid's name because they don't take cash at these places. The beers and mixed drinks were given to him by the people he was in attendance with.
So they snuck these into the stadium?
No, they bought the beers because you can buy more than one, and they gave them to the kid to drink. Like happens at every other stadium.
Yeah, but I mean, there are ushers. That stuff
That's not on the Pirates, though.
The
It's
Pirates
really
are
not.
still liable. I mean,
No, they're not, because they didn't sell anything to a minor. It's
well,
not the
but
Pirates' fault.
yeah, I
It's the
totally disagree.
people. It's the people's fault who he was with. They were the
Well,
irresponsible parties.
I mean, I've seen ushers stop people from drinking all that. That happened to you and me at a Sox game. We saw a guy got kicked out because they were serving him, they were handing him drinks. So I've seen that a bunch of times, and that can't happen. So you can give an excuse, but I'm not buying that. I'm blaming the Pirates for that. So, but that again, that's not the only reason I'm making them asshole of the week. If that was, maybe you'd have an argument. But again, he fell over the Clemente wall, which is about I mean, Roberto Clemente is the only redeeming quality of the Pirates organization, if you ask me. He's just a Hall of Fame player, a Hall of Fame person, 3,000 hits back in 1973, I believe. Right at the end of the season, during that off season, he passed away in a plane crash, a plane that he rented on his own, to a cargo plane that he was flying supplies to earthquake victims in Nicaragua. I mean, he's a king. He was. I've argued that his number 21 should be retired across baseball, similarly to Jackie Robinson's 42, to honor what he did for the Latin community and what he's done for baseball on a similar level. So, unfortunately, and they've honored the Pittsburgh Pirates. They have honored him with the Clemente wall. They built it 21 feet high to actually match his number. They have logos on the wall, but somehow they chose to remove the logos this offseason and put a hard seltzer ad on top of it, on the outfield wall.
Oh my God.
And the Clemente family saw this and wrote a letter like, what are you doing? Like, how are you like removing this honor for our father? Like,
ugh.
And Pirates president, I forget his name, he came out and said he apologized, and he said it was an oversight, I think was his term he used. And a little bit of literally inside baseball. I work in minor league baseball. I'm a graphic designer. I have made thousands of outfield wall pad ads, including memorial ads. We've got a number 42 up in Lansing here that I made based on a design that Major League Baseball sent me. But so I know how this process works. When you remove an existing graphic off of a wall pad and add a new one, there are multiple people involved. In my case, and even in a small organization like minor league baseball, Lansing Lugnuts, the owner would even be involved with what goes up on the wall. He actually approved ads that we'd be sent by clients, and if he didn't like it, we'd send it back to him. So I doubt the owner of the Pirates is involved to this level, but there are multiple departments. You've got the sponsorship department, you've got the marketing department, you've got the graphics department, you've even got the grounds crew that has to physically put up the new ad. And no one in that organization raised their hand pulling down this number 21 memorial logo in favor of a seltzer ad. No one said anything. No one batted an eye, and yet it was an oversight, probably by 20 people. Like, how could no one say, guys, are we sure this is a good idea to remove this? I do have to say, from a design perspective, the can of seltzer graphic they put up there fit the space perfectly. But the idea of it was just ridiculous and embarrassing for an embarrassing organization.
At least it could have been like Clemente Seltzer, and then you could have
yeah, something. Not even close. But just on top of that, they're a pathetic organization because they don't spend money. They pocket all of their revenue sharing money. They have the lowest payroll. At least, I don't know if it's still currently the lowest. It's amongst the lowest, but they played a game against the Dodgers this 2 weeks ago, and I think it was the largest payroll disparity in MLB history, which is partly due to the Dodgers, of course. But it just points out, they are, I think they're already 12 games below 500. They're wasting Paul Skenes, a generational talent. He's pitching every 5 days for Pittsburgh. He's probably going to win quite a few of those games, even though the Cubs actually did hit 3 home runs off of him, beat up on him. But they're just wasting him. Like, they finally get like the talent that they could ride, and they don't build around him because they'd rather pocket the revenue sharing money. So it's another travesty. They've done this for years. I'm sure there's a lot more stories if you're in Pittsburgh about cheapness of ownership. It's just obvious what they're doing, and it's just sad. And for all those reasons, even though you tried to shoot down one of mine, I think we can still agree that the Pirates are assholes.
Yeah, I'll give you 2 out of 3 for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not gonna the biggest one. I think you were alluding to the fact a couple weeks ago you were going to bring up about the Clemente wall being removed, and to me that's a slam dunk. I mean,
Yeah.
like everything you cited, he was a humanitarian and an incredible baseball player on top of it. So like, fuck, like that's just. But hey, it gives them an opportunity to have a special Roberto Clemente night to reveal the new wall next season.
That'd be good. Maybe they can turn this into a positive. Yeah. Hey, we put the logo back up. Come out and see. We'll give you a bobblehead.
Yes, but yeah, they are. Yeah, and you're right too. It's kind of like the Angels in a way. You're just talking about them. You know, they wasted they had Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani on the team at the same time and couldn't make the fucking playoffs.
So. They spent money though. They spent outrageous amounts of money.
Just badly though.
Bad money, like on Anthony Rendon and other flameouts. So
yeah,
Pirates don't even fucking try, and it's it's gross. So Pittsburgh, you are assholes.
All right. Well, speaking of assholes, Jerry, the owner of the White Sox, he's been nominated a lot, but that's not what we're going to talk about.
He's a former asshole of the year.
Yeah, former asshole of the year.
It's been 2 years running.
We're going to talk about the fun White Sox this year, the not so terrible White Sox, the team that's just two out of 3 games from the Houston fucking Astros.
Yeah, I think you had 3 out of 4 overall.
Yes. What is happening? What is happening?
I was not prepared for that.
They did lose 3-0 to the Royals last night. But
don't let the facts get in the good way of a good story.
But hey, they got 10 wins. That's ahead of last year's pace, which is hilarious to fucking say. I think part of the reason though, like a certain someone on the team who probably won't be with the team if he stays healthy by mid-season is heating up. While he wasn't AL Player of the Week, he would have been in the talk. Luis Robert over his last 7 games at 10-14 OPS, 2 homers, 7 RBIs, and 5 stolen bases, which you know what that makes him? The entire MLB leader in stolen bases at 15. He leads the entire league in stolen bases. This is a guy who right now is maybe looking at the possibility, if he stays on the field, of an easily a 30-30 year. Probably like a 30-40 at 15 stolen bases already. You're looking at probably 40 at a minimum if he stays healthy. And the Sox, Will Venable and his coaching staff, they are resting him at minimum once a week, no matter what. It doesn't matter. Twofold here. One, you keep him healthy and he's hitting like that, you're going to be winning ball games. Number 2, if the idea is to, which I think it has to be, trade him in July, then he's going to be worth a lot of fucking money if he's played the whole first half of the season and is sitting in at like 30 stolen bases and 16 home runs or something like that.
Yeah.
You couldn't draw it up any better for Getz at the moment.
That would be amongst the most valuable prospects or positions you could possibly have at the trading deadline if that plays out. But do you think they should wait till the deadline, or should they get nervous that he's going to get hurt and trade him sooner than later?
Well, I mean, I think it depends on teams' needs, but the whole reason Getz held out was he wants that haul.
Yeah.
So if you can't get that haul right now, I think you wait and
get people bidding against each other, roll the dice that he's going to stay healthy. We talked about this in the offseason a bit. He was at his lowest value in the offseason because he came off such a shitty year. So I thought maybe getting off to a hot start, build that value up. I mean, he's making noise already, so you might get an itchy trigger finger, but you need multiple. Ideally, you want multiple suitors so you can get a bidding war going.
Right.
That would happen closer to the deadline.
Yeah. So, I mean, It's not coincidence the Sox are doing well and he's doing well. I mean, it's a pretty simple recipe.
Yeah.
But real quick before we get to the main event of this Sox
Yeah.
segment, the rookies, the guys they traded for are showing immediate results. And speaking of the Angels, when the Sox sent Lucas Giolito and Lopez to the Angels, one of the key players in that deal for the White Sox was Edgar Cuero, the giant, one of the top prospects in the Angels organization, a catcher. Due to injury, they had to call him up, and he has been freaking incredible. He's played 17 games, 314 batting average, 789 OPS, 8 RBIs. But there's an example, too, going just railing on the Angels a little bit. They took, one of their top prospects to try to make a playoff run with Giolito and Ronaldo Lopez and got nowhere with that, and then traded away a guy who is raking right now in the 17 game period, like hit the ground running. I think he had an RBI in his very first game. So he's looked good. He's done DH and catcher, pretty decent behind the plate. And then we all know, I've talked about him a little bit, but Chase Meardroth, one of the key pieces in the Boston trade too. He's played 14 games. In those 14 games, he's reached base safely every game except for 2. This guy is he has a great eye. His discipline at the plate is fucking insane. It's like probably like a Euclid type of fucking discipline at the
The Greek
plate.
god of walks.
Yes, the Greek god of walks.
My goodness.
I mean, he will go 0-2 and get a walk. It's insane. The other thing that's really nice to see is he's had 0 errors in his 14 games, playing between second base and shortstop. So not only is he pretty decent with the bat, but he's very good in the field with the glove. So those are 2 really positive signs. A lot of the young pitchers, as we talked about, like Shane Smith, for example, they've been performing pretty well too. So, I would say like the future looks somewhat bright for the White Sox at the moment.
At least those are reasons to potentially watch a White Sox game, which you had very few reasons to watch a White Sox game last year. So it's encouraging, exactly. At least.
So yeah, I would also suggest, based on Meardroth's splits, just play him at second. He has an 857 OPS at second and a 588 at short. So I think second base,
the position he's playing influences OPS. That's an interesting theory.
I'm giving you the split. Yeah. I'm telling you, maybe
they make splits for a reason.
He's very comfortable at second, maybe, so he doesn't have like this mental block in his head that
he's
bothers
thinking
him.
About maybe he's not thinking about fielding when he's at second.
But speaking of Chase Meardroth, he's one of the first players I saw as I entered last week, Thursday night, the White Sox Gala, a charity event hosted at the old post office downtown.
Okay. Now you mentioned the White Sox. Do they do this gala every year? Like I don't.
Yes.
I don't hobnob amongst the elite on the South Side, but
yes,
this is an annual event, and you got an invite somehow.
Yes. So, folks, I mean, we're a pretty big deal here at this podcast. We had a beer sponsorship for like 18 months.
It still feels like an accident in a mirage. Yeah. Like that really happened.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what happens. You go to events and accidents happen, and maybe a good accident happened at this event, but more to come on that.
Okay.
So Robin, my better half, I guess is the way to say that.
For sure.
She is a director of operations at her company and handles all the travel, and her travel company that they use happens to book all the travel for the White Sox.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Her boss happens to be a Cubs fan, so she had no interest in going to the event. So insert Sox type thing.
That's awesome.
So
you busted out your tux and got the tails going, top hat. What was?
Yeah.
I've never been to a gala. I don't know anything about galas, let alone Sox galas. So
Well,
what was the decor?
well, thankfully, since it was a Sox gala, there was lots of pictures posted, and I quickly noticed my fear of having to rent a tux was put to rest.
Black and
As
white tux. Your socks are black and white. I thought a tux would be perfect. I was trying to put
most
that fear in your head, actually.
most people were just wearing like khakis and sport coats, and
Oh, okay.
I wore a tie. Like I wore a tie.
Whoa, classing up the joint.
I was in the minority with the tie. I mean, like
Really?
most people had ties on, did not have ties on. I mean, I was with Ozzy and Chuck, and they both had ties. So
Yeah.
I was with the tie crew there. The media was representing appropriately with their ties on. So
Now, did you have a credential, a media credential, where you could interview?
I did have a credential. I actually had a program with my name on it, like personalized program with my name and seat location.
You weren't accredited media.
I was not accredited media, okay, but
You're faking that. But
I was,
much like we are throughout these podcasts, we are faking it completely.
I was accredited to be at the event.
They didn't kick you out.
Yeah. So let me just set the stage. This is how it happened. So we walk in, and you walk by like where the dinner is going to take place, which is like in the main lobby of the old post office, which is, I didn't even realize this. It's filled with businesses now. There's like Amazon shipping's there. And
oh, okay.
A bunch of other businesses. So it's like a full functioning building again. So we go up this escalator, and as you go up this escalator, you get your credentials and you walk in to the cocktail reception. And the first thing I notice is this beautiful grass wall with a wall of Modelo bottles on the wall. Both the Golden Lager and I forget what the other one's
called. Most popular beer in America, I heard this week, actually. Just over number one, Modelo. Yeah.
I mean, they've done a great job with their ads, and I think it's good. I like it.
I hadn't had one until we went to that Sox game last year, and I thought they were fantastic. So
yeah,
I'm into the Modelo. I've got a couple in my fridge right now.
Pretty good shit. So, I didn't waste time. I went and grabbed a couple beers off the wall.
Nice work. They
made sure I had a frosty one, as some of them had been sitting on the wall for a while, so they swapped one out for me. Said, "That's right.
You take care of me. Right there.
Fucking take care of me. I'm big time. I'm a guest of a guest."
Yeah. I'm not even supposed to be here.
I'm not even supposed to be here. There was like a bunch of cool auction items out, like 2005, those bobbleheads they're giving away. There was all the pitchers that signed them.
Cool.
That was all part of a silent auction. But
did you bid on anything?
No,
did you have a paddle at least, or you could hold up, or how does that work?
No.
Silent auction.
It was kind of lame too, because it was like you had to scan a QR code and just bid online. So you could have done it too if I sent you the URL. It wasn't anything special of being at the event, Kind of like the 50-50 raffles, you don't even have to go to the game to get in the 50-50 raffles anymore.
Oh, Jesus.
Cubs do it, Sox do it. I'm sure all the teams probably do it. But anyway, I digress. So we have our beers and we walk to what is like a not so crowded location, because none of the people we're meeting are there yet. I walk right into Ozzie Guillen and Chuck Garfien.
Oh my goodness.
I don't walk into them, but I walk into the dinner area.
Pardon me.
Pardon me.
I've only had 2 beers.
And they're talking, and Ozzy looks over at me, and I give him I hold up the Modelo and be like, salute. And he nods back at me, and that was like our exchange. Wow. But then out of the corner of my eye, I see this individual walking through with a black dress shirt on, unbuttoned, like down, like 3 buttons open. Yeah, not to the navel, but like 3 buttons open, white jeans, and this flowing blonde hair. And I'm about to say to Robin, "Oh, look at this guy really got dressed up for the event." And I notice it's Chase Medroff.
Oh, no way.
But so I immediately felt like an asshole thinking that, because he's a fucking rookie. He probably doesn't have shit money wise, and isn't expected like, oh, by the way, you got to go to a gala now that you're called up, So He had a hot girlfriend with him. I'll tell you
That
that.
tends to happen.
Yeah,
When you
and
make the
so
major leagues.
I said, hey, I said hi to him. Great game, whatever.
That's
so
cool. You recognized him even because he
Yeah.
probably does not get recognized all that often quite yet, I would think. But
Yeah, so he walked through. Like I was trying not to I didn't want to bother people,
no.
So
That-
Will Venable comes walking through next.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hi, Will. Just hi, Will. Well, that was a fucking conversation. Nicest fucking guy. One of the nicest people I've ever talked to. Stops, says, hey, how's it going? What's your name? I'm like, I'm Peter. This is Robin. Huge fans. Been fans forever. Love what you're doing with the team. He's like, yeah. He's like, things are going in the right direction, but, we're not getting the results, and what I mean by results is it's tough on the guys. We're so close on a lot of wins and we're not getting them. And I feel bad for the boys.
Oh, man.
And we're just chatting back and forth. I said, well,
that's awesome.
I'm like, it looks like Lewis Roberts starting to heat up. He's like, yeah, that's going to make things a lot easier if he gets hot. And he's like, I'm not going to go over the whole conversation. I literally talked to him for 5 solid minutes. And then
at what point did you mention the podcast?
That's the key question. Mention the podcast.
Damn it.
Just hold on. So he, we said our goodbyes. He went on his way.
That's cool. Though.
I saw a couple other guys walk. I saw Aaron Rowan walk through because there were some 05 people there, and I'll get to that in a minute. So I'm trying to I'm overwhelmed. I'll be honest with you. I'm overwhelmed. I'm like a fucking, I looked at Robin and said, we've been here 20 minutes and this is already one of the coolest things you could have ever done for me. But then.
Did you ask her to marry you at that moment?
I did not at that moment. I thought, on one knee holding a Modelo in my hand was not the route to go, but.
At a Sox gala. I mean, it's perfect.
Yes. Of course, we saw Southpaw. I sent you the picture. Robin got her picture with Southpaw. Your favorite guy was there, and he dressed up for the occasion. I don't know if you noticed that or
creepy fucking thing.
It dressed up for the occasion. It did.
Yeah.
But then the goofiest, the craziest moment happened. Walks right up by where we're standing, and it's Len Casper.
Oh yeah.
And I go, Len Casper. He's like, well, hello. And we shake hands. I'm like, I'm Peter. This is Robin. Just want to say, always enjoyed your, play-by-play, even when you were with the Cubs.
He's a noted Tigers fan growing up in mid-Michigan, Mayo or something.
So we get to talking, and we're talking baseball, and we're talking about a bunch of stuff, and we get into the, somehow we drift into the Jimenez trade, the Jimenez Cease trade for Quintana. Boy. And he's saying,
you're talking to the right guy there.
He's like, it was crazy. He's like, the deal almost did not happen because they were freaked out about sending Cease to the Sox because they were convinced he was going to be as good as he turned out to be.
Yeah.
And they didn't. They were comfortable with Jimenez because, it's a wild card, a little more of a wild card, but they saw the development of Cease and said, this kid's going to be great. But, he goes, we all know the deal went through and it worked out for both teams in more of an immediate sense. But then in the end, it worked out for really no one. And
yeah, exactly.
He said,
nobody wins, nobody loses.
And he said something interesting. He said, if Quintana doesn't go to the Cubs, he probably goes to the Brewers because that was his next landing spot. And then the Brewers, in his head, he's like, that year, the Brewers may have beat the Cubs to a playoff spot. And he's like, so, it did its job at the time. And I'm like, I mean, in the end, no one's better off. No one won a World Series. So.
The forgotten part of that is Quintana helped them in the playoffs. And they did make another NLCS. So it's a bit overstated of what a disaster he was.
Yes.
In hindsight. So that's awesome. So you're chit-chatting, getting real intel from Len Casper.
Yeah, chit-chatting. And this conversation is going on way too long in that I'm feeling bad.
I was going to say, you're looking at your watch. I got to get out of this.
No. And then Connor McKnight comes up, who's
Occasional play-by-play guy on the radio for the White Sox.
And now with the new format on Chicago Sports Net, he's a sports network. He's like pre and post game and in-game guy. So I chat with him for a second. So I said, Robin finally is like, hey, we've taken up way too much of your time. I'm like, yeah, sorry. Like, it was great talking with you. And then he's like, hey, take out your phone and let me give you my number. And next time, I did bring up the podcast to him at one within the midst of the conversation. Just
you didn't just jam it into the conversation. No. It came up naturally.
Yeah, it came up naturally.
Good move.
Because we were talking about a particular, I can't remember which moment in baseball exactly, and I said something about how me and my buddy Smitty covered that on the podcast we do.
You mentioned my name?
Yes. And he's
There's
like
a few Smitties out there.
He's like, oh, that guy? No. Used to live in Uptown. I'm like, yep, that guy.
Yep, that was me. No.
So he gives me his phone number to call him so we can go up and visit with him and DJ in the booth before a baseball game.
God. Now you got to be making this up. This can't be true.
Well, I'll let you know because we're going to the game on Saturday.
That's awesome.
I'm going to immediately
just shoot him a text and say, hey.
Shoot him a text and see if it's legit, or he's going to be like, who the fuck are you?
He was wasted, has no idea, and no recollection of this conversation.
I told Robin I'm probably going to lose this number, creep.
That's awesome.
Okay, so
he's aware that there's a podcast that you are involved
in. Yes, so
anonymous Smitty person, but does he know the name of the podcast? This is always
this is how you gotta work.
What's holding us back, I think, is our own branding. You can't really mention Major League A-holes.
It's a courting process. You got to ease them into it.
Okay, you've got a whole strategy. You're way ahead of me. I appreciate it.
So
I am concerned about the branding. We might need to change this at some point, even though we've been doing it for 15 years. But
I do like to tell the story how we were once Major League assholes, but then realized we couldn't wear our own branding at baseball games. So we changed to a-holes.
Well, part of it was like Facebook wouldn't allow it or something.
So that too. You're right.
I tried to consolidate the name on every platform down to one thing. So that's funny.
So what happens next is they call us down to our, it's time for dinner. And by the way, Gene Honda's doing all the announcing and all that. So of course.
Juan, you're
yeah. Sit down now. Get to your seats or die. No,
he's the voice of God for sure.
So we head down to the seats, and we knew ahead of time that there was going to be a White Sox player or coach or someone sitting with us. So we get to the table, and there's like one seat with like a name card, and I look, and it's fucking Ron Kittle. Now this could not go almost any better for me.
You sent me the picture, and I actually recognized him right away. I'm like, what? You're talking to Ron Kittle? What the fuck's going on here?
Like a 1983 player outside of like an 05 player is probably like the greatest. It's one of the best things that could fucking happen to me.
That's awesome.
So I'm like, well, I'm sitting right next to where he's going to fucking sit. I'm not letting anyone else sit there. So luckily, one of the people who works the travel agency, she's a huge Sox fan. So she sat on the other side of him. So, bullshitted with Ron Kittle throughout the night. He had a hilarious story because he did his research and knew he was sitting with the White Sox travel agency and took out this picture. This is a crazy story. I'm glad you're sitting down. Be prepared to laugh. Him and his wife were on a flight to, was it South Dakota? And 15 minutes into the flight, this guy stands up, drops his pants to his ankles, and starts pissing in his seats. And he snaps a pic of it.
I think I heard this story, actually. I think he may have told this story on Hit and Run or Inside the Clubhouse recently.
And if you talked about things you didn't think were going to happen at the table, it would be Ron Kittle taking out his camera and showing me someone pissing on.
Oh no, he showed you the picture.
Yeah, he showed the whole table the picture.
You gotta see this.
He's like, this is insane. My wife's like jumping over me because she's about to get piss on her. And he's like, I put this on social media. I had 5 million hits in less than 30 seconds. Then they
Oh my
did a
goodness.
landing, and the guy was so drunk that he didn't even know where he was, and he immediately got cuffed. They did an emergency landing, immediately got cuffed, and got fined $200,000.
Oh, wow.
So don't,
Yikes.
just for everyone out there, don't publicly urinate on the
On an
airplane.
I'm always worried about that.
All right, I'm going to try to speed this along. So moving on.
You're fine.
I will say one thing.
This is the greatest story ever told, by the way. I mean, we don't have any better stories than this in our history, so go ahead.
So normally you go to things like this and the food is like whatever. I've got to tell you, man, this was like they prepared a short rib with I forget what kind of potato it was. Dude, this is like gourmet shit. The short rib, you didn't even need a knife.
Wow.
The food was insane. And the people that the agency that was hosting us, they like to drink. So let me just tell you, Friday morning I was not feeling the best. Friday morning. Yeah.
This is a Thursday night event. I forgot about that.
So anyway, a couple other highlights. They did a 2005 panel with John Garland, Aaron Rowan, and Ozzie Guillen.
Nice.
Chuck Garfien asked the questions. Ozzie being Ozzie, this is probably the line of the panel was talking about, hey, when you're with the White Sox, you're with the White Sox for life, as long as you don't ask Jerry for more money.
Oh, man.
I was like, everyone was kind of like, oh.
Was Jerry there?
No, he was not. At least I did not see him.
He's
probably
hiding in some booth.
By design.
Yeah.
He's in the dark like the owner in The Natural.
Yeah.
Infinite light!
Or behind the booth like a Wizard of Oz or something. No, don't look behind this curtain.
So they did that, which was kind of cool. Aaron Rowan also told this story that how Ozzie, and we always talked about this, whether it was in articles on our blog or when we were podcasting, reminiscing about Ozzie, is that he would always like say stupid shit just to take the heat off the players. And he
was the center of all the attention.
Yeah. And
by design.
Yeah. And he told them that the first day of spring training and that he would never throw them under the bus. And then Aaron Rowan tells this fucking hilarious story about how, who was it? Fuck, I can't remember. Oh, it was Jermaine Dye. Jermaine Dye blows this like routine fly ball. It like falls out of his glove, and they end up losing the game. Of course, it doesn't matter in the end because they go on to win the World Series that year. But he said, yes, Ozzie. They're asking Ozzie after the game what happened. He's like, I don't know. Why don't you talk to our right fielder?
Immediately throw him under the bus.
So Aaron Rowan grabs a Jermaine Dye jersey, brings it out to like the big like walkway and gets a golf cart and runs over the jersey a few times. So there's tire marks, and then hangs it up in Jermaine Dye's locker.
Oh my God, that's fucking hilarious.
So he's the first one there that day because he's like, I always got there like first thing to work and stuff like that. And Ozzie walks in and he gets this weird look on his face and looks over at Jermaine's locker and then looks back at Ron. He's like, was that you? And Aaron's like, yeah. He's like, good one, man. Good one. And then walks away.
That's awesome.
So he did it one time. He threw someone under the bus. So he wasn't going to let it go. Then the other fun thing they did after that was the current team got up there and they did like a family feud where they asked them like, like some questions. It was just amusing because the team's so young and like some obvious things, the way they answered it was like, are you what the
children.
fuck? Yeah, what the fuck, dude? So after that was then Pete turns into Stalker because
I've seen it.
I've been told that, once the event's over, you can go up and talk to players and whatever. So here's how it rolls out. I'm kind of standing up and they're like, you should go walk around. Like the agency's like, you should go walk around and do whatever. I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to hang here for a second. And sure enough, hanging there worked because here comes Lewis Robert walking right by my table. And I go, hey. And unfortunately, his interpreter was like 2 feet ahead of him when I stopped him.
How's your Spanish?
I zero
No
burrito
habla.
taco.
No.
So I like held my phone out and like, hey, can we get a
Oh
picture?
yeah.
And he's like, yeah. And that dude, let me tell you, man, that's a solid motherfucker, man. That dude, like I tapped him on the shoulder and I was like, it was like hitting brick. Like it was insane. So we took
Do
the
not touch.
picture. I said, hey, great game today. Have a great season. So then I started to walk through, and that was when I ran into John Garland, which like blew my mind. And
Oh,
John,
I did not recognize him. I think you sent me that picture. I wasn't quite sure who that
yeah,
was, but now it makes sense.
John Garland was one of the nicest guys I've
Huh.
ever met, like from a baseball player standpoint. And I'm like, hey, can we get a pic? He's like, yeah, sure, man. What's going on? I'm like, dude, you made my year in '05. I'm like, it was incredible. He's like, yeah. He's like, I'm like, do you get like, I asked him, like, do you still talk to a lot of guys? He's like, yeah, I still, all the pitchers kind of stay in touch. And obviously I see Aaron and Paul because I'm out in California. And I said, hey, I got to ask you a question. What'd you think about the ding on you your whole career about everyone always said you didn't give a shit on the mound because you were emotionless. He's like,
Wow.
he goes, fuck those people. He's like, you know what no one understands is every coach, that is what they tell you. Do
Yeah.
not show emotion. Do not let anyone know that they've gotten to you.
Exactly.
He's like, I've had that shit my whole career. Like John Garland doesn't care. He's like, people don't understand. It's just all bullshit. He's like, I had some guy come at me, a player in the locker room that will remain nameless, and gave me that shit. And I said to him, you want to see how much I give a shit? Let's go out on the field right now and go mano a mano and see what happens. And you'll see how much I give a shit. So he had a ball in his hand. So yeah, it was that was pretty cool. It was cool to get his response to that. Something I've only been wanting to ask him for like 20 years now. So that was kind of
Wow.
cool. Then I saw like Getz wave to him. He was scampering off. Rowan, I didn't get a picture with because he was leaving too. I did talk to Andrew Vaughn for a second.
Ask him why he has underachieved his entire career.
I did not. I said I complimented him on having
Calling him at a gala.
one of the highest exit velocities this year, but I said
Oh.
maybe you should. As I said, you just got to hit him when people ain't standing. He's like, I know, right? Really bad luck so far. So, but yeah, I mean, will I get to go again? Debatable.
Yeah, I was wondering, once you get in the club, got your foot in the door, do you get to, are you a lifetime member of this gala?
I was told I would be back next year, but we'll
Wow.
see. So if I am, good
So you
for
did
me.
not embarrass yourself. You did not embarrass the podcast.
No.
You have,
Well, not yet, but Saturday, all
bets
bets
are
are
off.
off. Yeah. So
You'll be wearing your basketball jersey and the Sox type thing hats and
yeah, that's it. I'm out. I'm out. Or no shirt.
no shirt. Yeah, good move.
But I will say, like, it was honestly, like, from a White Sox fan standpoint, like, I probably had two of the coolest events you could have had over the last 5 years, which is, or whatever, 4 years, the Revolution event where I got to play on the field.
Oh yeah, like batting practice and
Shaq fly balls and get us sponsored for 18 months.
yeah.
And then this, like, from a White Sox fan standpoint, was
Oh my God.
like insane.
Well, you took full advantage of that. That's fucking awesome. Like chit chatting with it. I'd have a hard time like speaking to people like that. So that's fucking cool as hell. You got the connection now with Len Casper. I have a brief brush with a kind of separated brush with Len Casper as he called my office up in Evanston, the office I worked in, Pro Sports Marketing, because we owned Lansing Lugnuts and at that time the Montgomery Biscuits. He called our office and was giving Joe Davis a recommendation.
Oh, that's right. I remember that story. Yeah.
It was Joe Davis's, I think, his second job in baseball, who is now the voice of the Los Angeles Dodgers and calls World Series for Fox Sports. Yeah. So the girl that answered the phone sat right next to me in our cubicle. She had no idea who Len Casper was, but she paged Tom, the boss, the owner, Tom, we have a Len Casper on the phone. I'm like, oh, what? And about conversation lasted about 15 minutes, I guess. And then my boss and the owner came out. He couldn't believe he just had been talking to Len Casper, so he was starstruck as well. But yeah, that was the beginning of Joe Davis's career. He has thanked Len Casper for that. So if that comes up somehow in your conversation, let him know the anonymous Smitty has some connection there.
I'll be like, you talked to Joe Davis lately? 6 degrees of separation moment.
Yeah, that would be a difficult story to probably tell. But ask him about Ernie Harwell. That's Len Casper's noted Ernie Harwell fan. That's why he's a broadcaster. Growing up in Michigan, listening to Ernie Tigers games on the radio. But I digress. Yeah, dude, that's got to be the best story we've ever had on this podcast. So congratulations. Glad you had a blast. Now let's get some more content out of it.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I'll let you know. But Smitty, breaking news: I've been asked to leave the park Saturday. Anyway, we'll find out.
Yeah, it'll be an adventure. So does that wrap up our gala White Sox?
Yeah, that's it.
Now?
The gala, the White Sox, where we've somehow again managed to make the White Sox the worst team on this podcast. The longest segment.
Continues to happen. You guys are endlessly fascinating somehow. But
so,
if we're wrapping that up, I've got one quick tidbit on my fucking A's.
Oh yeah, I got A's. I got A's all over my fantasy team.
I know, so do I. It's a team we barely talk about, but they are part of the Major League A-holes family. As I lived out in Oakland back in 2005, I went to a ton of A's games, and I feel like I'm part of it. I work for the Lansing Lugnuts, who are the high affiliate of the A's. But I just wanted to mention that the A's are 4 games above 500. They're 20-16. They're only 1 game out of first place in the American League West behind the Seattle Mariners, who they actually just beat last night to get within 1 game. Kind of an amazing story. Everyone was certainly not picking them to do anything except for myself, as in our Nostradamus preseason predictions. I thought, hey, maybe they'll have a weird home field advantage with that AAA ballpark that they're playing in that major league teams won't be ready for. And I don't know if that's the case necessarily, but they're certainly playing better than a lot expected. So I wanted to give the A's a shout out while they have their heads above 500 and looking like a solid team. They might even be tied for first place after tonight. You never know. So just a real quick one there.
What a kick in the balls to Oakland.
Yeah, as soon as they leave Oakland, they're actually being a respectable team. So yikes. Yeah, Oakland has been kicked a lot in the dick. So do we want to do one final segment? We've been going on for just over an hour here. Do you want to do our aesthetics?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be a very long segment.
Okay, let's go ahead then. Both the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Miami Marlins released their second versions of course, the Nike City Connect uniforms 2.0. You may not have noticed because they look rather generic. I feel like we've seen these jerseys before, or at least similar versions. Like I said, I didn't really even want to do this segment, which is ironic since it's some of my favorite segments to just talk about this kind of shit. But these are underwhelming to say the least. So I'm giving that caveat before we get into it. But I think I have not even bothered to read the explanations, which are always hilarious. So I think you've got them over there. So
yeah.
I'll be reacting to those in real time, I guess. But I guess we might as well go. You want to start with the Marlins?
Yeah, that's what I have up here. So
the
Marlins are, I like to call this, in my opinion, the Miami Vice jersey.
Yeah, very much. They call them the retro wave, I think is their official term for it. But yeah, the first thing I thought of was Miami Vice. I mean, it's classic 80s kind of neon on top of black background. I forget everything that's going on with those, but yeah, I would easily call them Vice, the Vice jerseys.
Yeah, they use teal, which represents the,
of course,
the teal sparked a legacy with the inaugural 1993 club. Pink accents like the bright lights that paint an electric glow in the city's skyline, where the party never ends.
By the way, what would you think if they just went back to the teal, black and white gray uniforms. I think
I've had no problem with it whatsoever.
I think they'd be fucking awesome if they just went back to a retro. Of course, they're Miami. They're not Florida anymore, so they'd have to do a. Actually, they could take their current logo set and just change it to teal, black, white, and gray. And
yeah,
I think it'd be tremendous.
The word mark pays homage to the past. The Miami word mark is like a time traveler channeling classic elegance, reminiscent of the Florida Marlins, with lettering as energetic as the city's roots. What?
It was the what? Yeah. So it's like similar to their original word mark. Is that what they were trying to say?
I guess.
Like, I didn't see that. I mean, again, I haven't looked at it in a while. I saw it last week, but I didn't catch that part at all. I just saw Miami Vice, basically, that logo.
Yeah, the horizontal pinstripes. This dynamic reflects the evolving culture of Miami's, whose beat embodies purpose and uniqueness.
Oh my God!
But this is the one that got me, because this is the first jersey to actually call this out on it, as we talked about this before we got on the air. They decide to call out the advertisement on the sleeve.
Yeah, it's like is it ADT security? Yes. It's like a stop sign shape, like an octagon, and
yes.
But they've added those team colors into it or something.
Right. ADT, which is a pillar sponsor of the Marlins, debuted a new colorway for Retrowave. Like the uniform, ADT honors a storied history while embracing a promising future. The logo blends retro elements with modern flair. It symbolizes innovations rooted in tradition. What?
Sure. Okay.
Anyway.
Way to get the plug in there.
And then the jock tag from beaches.
Everyone loves a jock tag.
Yes. From beaches to the ballpark. The Marlins celebrate the Sunshine State and embraces the history, celebrates today, and looks to build a legacy for tomorrow. The funniest thing in this article I pulled up, they do not show a visual of the jock tag, which is really weird.
Oh, that's weird.
And it's by MLB too. I think the last thing to point out, which is the hat is the area code of Miami, which is 305 or 305. Is that famous?
Yeah, I hear 305.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, you definitely hear 305 all the time. I mean, I used to listen to the Dan Le Batard show based in Miami, so maybe that's part of it. But 305 is pretty. I think when like LeBron James was in Miami too, I think that came up a lot. So maybe that's the only reason there's any kind of connotation that I'd recognize. But it is something.
Okay. Moving over, because that's about all I got to say. I think the jersey's pretty shitty.
Oh, we got to give our ratings at least.
Yeah, I'm going 2 thumbs down. I'm not going to hesitate.
Yeah, I've got 2 middle fingers down as well. So that's total shit.
2 thumbs. I meant 2 middle fingers down.
Yeah, come on. Those aren't your thumbs.
But I got 2. This jersey's so bad, I'm giving it 2 thumbs down and 2 middle fingers down.
Wow, that's a lot.
Speaking of bad jerseys, you got to go all the way to the west, to Arizona, to look at a jersey that is a very similar color scheme to the jersey we just talked about.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, their timing. I feel like MLB and Nike could have coordinated that a little bit better if it's kind of this similar colorways that just kind of blended into each other. I barely noticed that it was actually a new Diamondbacks City Connect 2.0 because it was coming right on the heels of very similar Marlins.
Yeah, so Arizona-born collar graphic, the only major sports team born with Arizona in its name. Okay. This model pays homage to a legacy rooted in the desert and built for the entire state.
Can we describe these a little bit, though? Like,
sure, it's
I barely remember.
Purple.
Like
purple color, like the base color is purple with like a teal that says Serpentines, just like the other City Connect jersey.
Now their City Connect 1.0, they were the Serpentines or something like that. But so is it? I feel like it's the exact same uniform, just in different colors. I'm sure there's other minor details, but
there are minor details. But yes, it is the same exact logo from the original City Connect.
That's as lazy as it gets.
Yeah, so it's purple and teal basically. That's the 2 colors.
Yeah, and those were their colors at one point or at their beginning. So I get that idea, but just to kind of redo what they already did in just a different color is just boring, dumb.
There's a flag patch on the sleeve with like the Arizona logo.
Okay.
It unites the team and its state, a symbol of its unwavering connection. All right, whatever. The mark established jock tag.
Jock tag.
The mark celebrates the establishment of the team in 1988 in Arizona's 48th state. Again, I don't see a picture of the jock tag in this MLB article. Thank you, MLB. Jersey details. The jersey patch pays tribute to the team's history, blending elements of the original pinstripes with a snakeskin pattern. So the patch that I was alluding to, I don't know. It's this article is shitty. Yeah. Sleeve trim. The sleeve features a modern interpretation of the distinctive braiding from the team's classic alternate uniforms. So there's like a lot of the sleeve trim has this pattern on it. Whoop-de-fucking-do. The cap. The S logo marks its on-field cap debut, standing out in the classic purple and teal colorway. So I guess the last round didn't have the S on the hat.
So it's an S made out of a snake, kind of?
Yeah, just like the S and the serpentines on the jersey.
Okay, so yeah, I don't think that's ever been a logo, just that S isolated. So that on the hat, I guess, would be new, but that's pretty easy to do once you already have the word mark. So
all right.
I feel like this was kind of an afterthought. They just threw this together at the last minute.
So that's it for that one. Arizona born 2.0 City Connect jerseys. 2 middle fingers down.
Yeah, I got 2 more middle fingers for those. So yeah, this petered out much the way I thought.
Hey, I just want to say
no pun intended.
I just want to say that we discussed maybe not even covering these jerseys because they're so fucking horrendous and
boring.
As much as I have made fun of aesthetics over the years, I've grown to actually enjoy it. And I felt like even talking about these weak attempts at a City Connect 2.0 jersey was insulting this segment.
this proud segment.
But we did it because you know what? We got to take the good with the bad in this segment. So
this year started out well because the Cubs had one in the offseason. Then of course your Giants had the graffiti ones, and then the White Sox just had one last week. So the Tigers are not. I don't think they're anywhere near doing 2.0, which is unfortunate. I'd love to see them take another shot at it because I can't stand the Motor City versions they did. I guess the A's might do them, but they don't have a city. So that might be a long time before we see a City Connect from a nomad team like the A's. Don't even mention. They have no official mention of any city on any MLB website. It's just athletics. So yeah, I think the only thing we have really to look forward to in the distant future is another Tigers Motor City or a City Connect uniform. But that might be years from now. So I think we're gonna have to, unless we get blown away by something, we might have more segments like this. Underwhelming, but we'll see. You gotta stay positive there, I guess.
I guess I'm not right now.
Well, I think on that negative note, we might as well wrap up this episode 165. Unless you had any shit Pete forgot.
No, I think I talked enough.
All right, yeah. Get a drink of water over there.
I'm already done with it.
Well, good luck on Saturday. Wear that Sox type thing hat out over there. Dap up Len Casper. Spread the word. Can't wait to hear those stories. Check you out on at Sox type thing on X. You can also find us at Major League A-Holes. I've got I don't plug this very much, but I've created Twitter accounts for all 5 of our teams with stupid names. Like the Tigers coverage is at Bold English D. We've got fucking A's, fucking underscore A's for A's coverage. And SF Gigantism is your Giants feed. And I also did Northside Army on Twitter for the Cubs. So check those out if you want specific coverage of those teams. You can find us on other social media, all at Major League A-Holes. And you can find us on the web at majorleagueaholes.com. And you can find this podcast anywhere you'd like to find a podcast. So with that, I'm going to declare this podcast is over. Peace.
Peace.
Word Hole Media.